No, no.
Good evening and welcome to the Events and Communications Committee meeting of Monday the 13th of February 2023. Apologies for absence. I think we have everyone here who's on the committee. Any declarations of interest, please? No. The minutes of the last meeting. Could we first accept that they're a true reflection of what happened at the last meeting? There's two lots on there, don't forget. There's two lots. Yeah, well, we did the first one was 12th of December, if you can remember back that far. I think one of the issues on there was the attendance of Councillor Ellis, which he's asked us to check.
We have seen that.
Yeah, and you weren't actually here. So are we happy for those to now go through? Okay, so I have a proposer, Sue McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Bond. All those in favour, please? Thank you. And the second set of minutes is 23rd of January. Are we all happy that this is a true reflection? Could I have a proposer, please, for those? Sue McKinnon and seconded by Bond. All those in favour? Matters arising from the January, they all appear on this agenda. So we'll move on because we have with us some guests from Homes England who would like to do a briefing on the SUE. So I'll hand over to them.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and councillors, for having us back again. It's good to see many familiar faces. Yeah, we really wanted to come here this evening to present an update on our progress, what we've been doing as a project team. Particularly as I and a colleague, Nat, who you may remember, presented to you before on the submission of quite important site-wide documents. We have a progress update on that, as well as our intention to submit a reserve matters planning application, the first one. So I'll do introductions. I'm going to do the Mount Homes England spiel very quickly because I know you've all heard it before. It's all about our sort of role in Attleborough, just build that picture for you. Section 73 application approvals, lots of words there, but in reality, that's what I presented to you before. A bit about the public engagement we've had underway, reserve master planning application, which is almost the juicy bit of our presentation this evening. A bit about the Section 106 strategies, and then timetable and next steps. You know me, I think, by now. I'm Chris Critchfield from Meeting Place on the Homes England project team. I'm also joined by Mark, who you probably also know from other meetings.
Yeah. Good evening, councillors. My name is Mark Walton. I'm a planning director with Tech with multidisciplinary and planning team that have been retained by Homes England to take forward the SUE, and in particular the first phase of the SUE.
We haven't quite decided who's Laurel and who's Harvey. You'll have to be the judge of that. We also have Susanna Strandell, who's joining us via Zoom. We'll swap laptops after. Susanna is on the Homes England team and will be here to answer any questions that you might have. So as you will know, the Homes England's UK government's housing accelerator, we are here to do almost a very specific job, and that is to unlock the delivery of the development at Attleborough SUE and to facilitate that for house builders to come along and deliver the homes on site. So in reality, it's about kickstarting development. What are we doing? What have we been doing? So as you may remember, we have two jobs here. We have complete control of phase one of Attleborough SUE, which is up to 1,199 homes and associated infrastructure. That's the parcel in red there. Ptarmigan have the remainder of the site under their control along with the landowners. But it was incumbent on us as Homes England to take care of some conditions associated with the original outline planning application, and that related to a site-wide design code, which I commend your reading already because it does really bring this all to life in a way that you probably haven't seen today. It's all been a bit techy, it's been a bit high level. The design code really does, and the structuring plan as well, and that really sets out what goes where, for want of a better term. So in addition to that, we're also looking at the delivery of the Section 106 strategies. I'll probably coin that the method behind you getting your goodies, as it were, and that includes all of that mitigation, of course, to our impacts, but also the community facilities that are living on site. It extends to broadband, public open space, living in park strategy. And then in addition to that, as I said, we've got control of that first phase, and really that's the delivery of infrastructure, so road infrastructure as well as drainage, utilities, for then house builders to come along, purchase individual parcels, they then build the homes. So we're making their lives easier, and we're kickstarting the market now to grow SUV. Mark.
Yeah, thank you. So when we came to speak to you just over a year ago, what we were telling you was that we were just about to submit a package of planning applications. They were very techy and called Section 73 applications. There was also some discharge of conditions, applications 4 and 5, which was for the design code and the structuring plan. The reason Section 73 was important to us was when we looked at the original master plan, outline master plan again, we saw some improvements that could be made to the alignment of the link road, taking out some of the straighter bits, which reduces speed naturally without having to put speed carbon measures in. And we also double checked all the drainage, flooding, and all the calculations. So we made sure that the drainage mitigation that was going on for the whole site was going to be in line with predictions of climate change, and we would kind of cover all those matters. And from a technical planning point of view, so that was for the Section 73 planning application, and that's what we submitted last time with our design code and our structuring plan. Just want to flip on a bit. This is the structuring plan. So the structuring plan goes down from the original outline. It provides the detailed structure, as the name suggests, of the key uses on the site, be they the community uses, the housing, the linear park. The blue obviously is the different size basins. If you were to overlay these with the original outline, you'll see these basins are much bigger, and the reason for that obviously to ensure we have sufficient drainage. Also, what we were able to do was ensure that, as I said, this link road has more of a wiggle in it now, and that means we can reduce speeds without actually losing any of the density or losing all the uses. So that was quite an important point for us. That allowed the master plan to be refined to a deliverable plan for the whole of the site. So that was the structured plan. We then went further. In the design code, the 3 neighbourhoods, as you know, there's 14 character areas. So for each of the 14 character areas, there are parameters set for the design parameters that developers will have to adhere to when their detailed applications come forward. So from Homes England's point of view, from the site's point of view, these are 2 quite important ticks in the box, if you like, for where we'll get to further in delivering in delivery on the site. Let's click onto the next screen.
This is very transparent. I'll send this slide after so you can. But as well as that, I'm sure Councillor Bond this time around that he'll have hard copies of the approved plans. And yeah, I would really treat that structuring plan as a bit of a one-stop shop for everything that's being delivered. As I say, what goes where. I think that's quite useful when you're talking to your residents to explain exactly that. I would just add on this a bit anyway. We do want going public and going about that in a second, but you may have noticed, it might have even been on social media or something, that there are traffic lights on the Buckingham Road, effectively sort of on your way down to Borough Lane from Battleford Station. That's for some vegetation clearance. Now, we notified the residents around there about 2 weeks ago that works would be taking place. All very pleasant, actually, people didn't mind, which is surprising for traffic management. But in that, we had a lot of questions about, well, what's going on out the back of my house? You know, what's going where? And that structure plan, as I say, proves quite a useful tool in explaining the parameters for the development moving forward. In addition to that vegetation clearance work that I've been busy with over the last week in talking to stakeholders, you may have seen this at the Christmas lights switch on. It's a staple of my year now, and the project team do find that really rather useful, talking with people, keeping them updated. We always get questions off the back of that as well. This time around, it was much more about sort of cementing that structuring plan and design code and telling people that we've been on the journey. When we spoke to them last, I think we were about to submit it. That's quite a while ago now. and showing people the final plans and talking to them a little bit more about how we're bringing it on now and really starting to think about on-site delivery.
Okay. Yeah, just want to touch on this. So this is quite right. So in the last year, what we've done by submitting that package of information, we've also spoken to all stakeholders, including yourselves, to get that structuring plan, those design codes fixed. And I'm going to say for us, that's a very important milestone to have achieved, to have ticked. It's the first two milestones we have to tick in the planning consent anyway. And I said we've taken people with us, and as this is alluding to, we've taken the residents with us as well on that journey. But of course, what everyone wants to know is, what are you doing next, and when are you starting? So what we are talking to you tonight is the next package of applications, which is the detailed submission, the first detailed submission, which is in terms of reserve matters application. So what we are, you're very familiar with the blue line. The blue line is the SUE. The orangey buff colour is Homes England phase 1. That's obviously what we're focusing on as Homes England agents and partners. So the first reserve matter is the first pieces of infrastructure that allow the housing in phase 1 in the orange area to come forward. So what's shown in red is the outline of the infrastructure phase 1A, if we called it. That is, if you start at the top, actually, that is the northern roundabout. Start of the link road, where it joins Buckingham Road, down the High Street, again the link road, and continuing the link road to the boundary with Homes England. This allows the first drainage mitigation basin to be installed. That is what drains not just the road, but also this northern part, which is where the first house applications will go in. And then what we're also doing is, from this point onwards, this line, which follows the line of the link road, is actually a foul sewer. And that foul sewer goes from the whole length right the way across to a new pumping station, Anglian pumping station about here. That is a foul sewer for the whole of the development, which we have to put in now to allow the first parcels to obviously have sufficient capacity and power. So our first package is, as I say, bits of the road up to this point, and the foul sewer. This area here is our construction by compound, the temporary compound to allow the works to continue. And once that infrastructure is in, there is no impediment then in terms of the first housing parcel to come forward, and developers will bring those forward as well.
I think it's worth adding, when I first presented to you, made quite clear our intentions to deliver infrastructure early, and that Homes England was the best place, I would argue, to do that. This is our intention. In reality, it's very difficult to bring to life when you've got a sort of red line plan, but this is delivering infrastructure first. And there remains a significant portion of this side that is outside of our control, and we can seek to influence that in as best the way we can, but in reality, we can control what we control, and that's why our intention is to deliver an integral part of the link road early, very early.
And so just go back a second, just one more thing. Okay, sorry. Okay, and there's also details of the first access into this parcel of land as well, because the planning commission allows an early phase here going. So again, that's the first bit of infrastructure. But again, these two connections open up, the start to open up certainly this area for Homes England, and to a lesser degree for the retained developer in that area as well. Sorry.
If you do, I mean, if you don't drive that way, it's worth mentioning at this point that that area there is where the vegetation clearance is taking place at the moment. You've got 4 days of traffic lights in place.
Yeah. So
I think I'm Harvey.
Because of the nature of how the planning consent was approved, the first application, whatever that would have been, triggers a whole load of other pre-commencement things, which again, some of them are site-wide, some of them are phase-wide, some of them are just related to that infrastructure red line I showed you. But what we've been doing in the past year, as well as looking at the structuring plan, is preparing all of these technical supporting documents, which will come in as part of this pack of archaeological schemes, the ground investigation reports. So these works have been done. These are reports of the work we've been doing, which have to go to Breckland to be signed off at the same time. Archaeology, ground investigations, arboricultural trees, as Chris says, some trees are coming out, which is the start of that northern roundabout area. Traffic management and environmental frameworks, these are based, so these are documents that ensure that the impacts of that infrastructure work is mitigated. We've looked at the mineral resources across the whole of phase one. Flood risk and drainage, I've already mentioned. We looked at that structuring plan. In fact, a lot of the detail that we did at this stage, should have been at this stage, we ended up having to have detailed conversations with the flood authority to convince, well, to not convince them, but to satisfy them that all our calculations were exactly on point. And then obviously the technical drawings of the roads, the drains, and all the things we have outlined. On top of that, we also have a legal agreement, and the legal agreement itself has I think it's 12 in total, site-wide strategies on a variety of subjects, from affordable housing to travel plan, which have to all been prepared and submitted as part of this application. So slightly complicated in some ways, although we are putting in that first piece of road and infrastructure, what we've had to do is look at all these strategies for the site. The triggers for all of these documents is now, and that's what we've been working on. So we have looked at these matters kind of site-wide, and those documents will be coming to yourselves as part of the statutory consultees. What we want to do is come to you today, before we've done any of that, so you're aware of what's coming in to ask us questions.
And of course, to extend an offer, an invitation to meet with us to go through these. Don't suggest we do that by committee. I mean, ultimately it's at your discretion. There are a lot of strategies there, but in reality, it would be very good to show you the contents of them and to talk you through exactly how we're looking to deliver that Section 106 legal agreement. We know that there are members of the public who are very keen to hear from us as well, prominent members of the Heritage Group who want to know more about the Linear Park. So we'll be doing our own thing outside of our engagement with you as the Town Council, but I don't think I'm sort of speaking out of turn by saying how very important it would be for us personally to meet with you specifically about this. In terms of timelines and next steps, so imminent submission of the reserve matters planning application, clearly that will continue for comment as statutory consultee. In addition to that, as we've just discussed, that will include Section 106 strategies. We will then look at we're currently looking at market testing, we're currently looking at what developers might come forward on the SUE and deliver the homes. So whilst a lot is, there's a long way to go in terms of who comes on board and who delivers, we are clearly quite keen to make sure that the service plots are put in place and that developers can push forward with their first housing applications. So I would say late summer 2023 towards the back end of the year, if we're honest, to that sort of arrangement being there. And then 2024, which is deliberately vague, for the delivery of the first homes on site. I'll not stand here and tell you that I can pinpoint a month even. There really are so many variables in this process at the moment, but you have from us our commitment to make it happen as quickly as possible, but of course respecting the outline documents that have come forward as well. That's it from us. We're more than happy to answer questions if you have them. Susanna is also here from the Homes England team.
Right, can I just thank you so much? And before we move to questions, a couple of housekeeping things. Can I suggest we suspend standing orders so members of the public can ask questions as well?
Proposer.
And Councillor Dale, all those in favour? And the second housekeeping is this is being recorded and it will be uploaded onto the Town Council website. Could I just ask as a matter of courtesy, if anybody is live recording this at the moment, you don't have to tell us you are, but I just think it's polite if you do tell us that you're live transmitting this to anybody outside the room. If nobody's live recording, then fine. I just think it's nice to know whether that's going on. Right, over to questions then. Anybody got any questions?
Seems I'm allowed to speak now. Do you want me to try and get Susanna on this?
Ideally, I know she's there somewhere.
And she logged on to the Zoom link yet?
I was watching the presentation, I forgot to look for it.
Well, I ask a question while
Well,
it's being done? Just a quick one, please, Chris. The diagram you showed that was the first phase and the infrastructure, and you finish.
That one? Yeah.
That's it, yeah, and you'd be finishing your work in the buff area. A question that lots of people are asking is, well, the usual, well, you shouldn't build this until you have the infrastructure in place. Although all the remainder of that will be a drainage.
It does follow the line of the infrastructure.
What will enable that infrastructure to be built so that it doesn't come too late after other developments?
What will enable the infrastructure outside of our?
Yeah, that road. I mean, people say generally, well, in town, they're building all these houses, not even putting the bloody.
Yeah, of course.
Now, so I know it can't be done in this, but it's just really what's the mechanism to make sure that the road in is in as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can't deliver any
No.
homes on site until this is sorted. Bluntly, we have, it's not, well, it would be our gift as landowners, but it's not our intention to do what developers need to do on this site. So that means they will bring forward the housing, but of course here today, we're saying in a matter of a couple of weeks or so, we're going to seek to deliver that reserve access application for the infrastructure and therefore deliver it to allow those parcels to then be brought forward for housing. Tell me if I'm not getting your question.
No, you're not answering my question.
No, sorry.
I know that,
Yes.
and it's all logical. But how will that road be put in
Yes.
in a timely manner? Or are we going to wait for all those little parcels to be developed and that the next parcel then builds an next bit along and then next?
Okay.
So all that has to be built, then the road will be finished,
Yeah.
or is there a different timescale?
On the start. So you are right, I do understand the question. And on the one hand, I can't give you a definitive answer, and that's unfortunately.
I understand.
I've been honest with you on this point. So we're putting in the infrastructure that allows Homes England to bring forward the houses in that rough area. That's what we're doing. And to another point, we are not in control of the infrastructure to deliver any of this. So we are providing this because that will, as I said, allow this to go up there. But obviously, the continuation through there and bits over there are in the gift of Ptarmigan or the developer, whichever developer comes forward. And the trigger, as you well know, in planning is on the 1,200 home. So on the 1,200 home, this has got to be right. Okay, that's a trigger in planning.
That's what I wanted to be.
That's your fallback and your protection. Written into the planning consent that was achieved back in March 2020 is that delivery trigger of 1,200 units. So that link road has got to be delivered by that figure.
Can I just add a comment to that as well? I mean, in the outline, Roger, this is where it all got a bit fixed in terms of phase one, and then link road will only need to be required after that 1,100th house. It was interesting, don't know the slip of the tongue, but you're saying for a reserve master for 1,199 houses.
No, so that Homes England's phase one, the parcel that we control, is for a development up to 1,000.
Up to 1,199 houses, whereas the trigger point is 1,300, which is outside of phase one.
It is, but then
But no, I'm not, it's,
Yeah.
but
I would just contend
it's just worth noting.
it is, just as it's in Hosington's interest to drive the delivery of development phase one, as you can imagine, it's Ptarmigan's interest to shift a load of units and get houses away. with other developers.
Absolutely, I totally get that, and I understand the role of things and everything else, but I think that wider discussion of that instruction link road, one, where's the money coming from, because I don't know if they're still having problems with Network Rail, but I suspect, because they had a problem with the ransom strip, in crossing rail lines,
Yeah.
there were discussions, but I think perhaps part of the town delivery plan and the partnership arrangements, it then opens those discussions of, can we have a better understanding of where those conversations are, getting the money for that, because there are big various discussions of the county will loan it and Brecon will loan it and this and that and everything else, but I think the next steps in the partnership may be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the partnership is going to be the key to understanding this and how shaping this going forward. We recognise the trigger mechanism there is there for a purpose, so that there's a revenue income that allows the affordability of that link road to cover that next phases. We get this, and we'll discover more as we go along. And my question specifically is to the S106 matters. Yes, we're very happy to engage with you on that. We can do it in sensible formats, I'm sure, as a council, rather than having to come and go and trawl through every part of every, element of those 12 points that you had in the S106 in a council meeting such as this. And I'm sure we're flexible as councillors to do this, perhaps even electronically a little bit more, or in chats when we need to. My question was on the S106. There's a good list of things. Some of those are natural statutory requirements you have for planning applications. This. Some are bespoke ones, like the linear park. I'm glad to see that up. Indoor and outdoor sports provision. There will be something missing on that list that is a priority to the council, and I know to its residents, this to do with healthcare provision. Has there been and will there be, and perhaps this isn't the right forum for that discussion, but are there discussions about healthcare provision being included in any potential S106, or does that fall into something else?
Okay, so the section 106 includes a healthcare provision. I think it's an either or. Sorry, I have a document to hand. One of the provisions relates to healthcare, and it relates to the provision of either a health facility or a payment of money towards the to the NHS group. Sorry, I can't remember what is commissioning group, isn't it? So there are monies in there. What we're talking about here are the strategies.
Yeah.
So the document itself has provisions for money and provisions for payment on one side. That is all fixed, and that are triggers. And then there are strategies for how that money is spent. And what we're looking at here is the strategies, which sort of are a way of, again, providing parameters for how these things will go forward as the site evolves or as the site gets developed. So there is elements that relate to monies and how that could be triggered and how that could be paid and who the correct bodies are.
The monies are
the
strategies are the important thing in this element, because I just wanted to check that was included in this. Strategy would really love to have a conversation to you, and I don't want to take time away from your meeting, Debbie. I'm sorry about this. The town council would be aided, or ACCARE would be aided. Town council is probably the better way of saying it. Have been massively involved with healthcare provision and the producing of a documented report and software tool to help with the analysis of how those strategies will affect the future population of the town. And I think it would be a wonderful exercise of that tremendous work that's only just recently been completed to engage with you over those strategies. I feel it would aid and evidence said strategies and this, and it would be a good test case for that material. So, on that side of it, I hope we can have a conversation on that at least plugs you into the tremendous work that was done not only by those groups, but also the UEA and their consultation team on healthcare. So there is the intellectual factual and evidence-based that will really help inform a very good strategy on the healthcare side.
So
Sorry, can I just say, we've got Susanna now. There was an email, she was having problems with the link, so do you want to link her in?
Yeah, I can do that as well, do my tech job.
Obviously, sorry, Susanna being the project lead for the Attleborough SUE can probably answer certainly some of the questions in more detail anyway. So it's very fine that she's joined. All I was going to say was, 14 months ago when we came in, with ICO, then previously we didn't meet with AppCare. They've done the first stage of their research, which is all the baseline information. They always said they're getting to stage 2, which is where you are now. So we were always happy to link in with that. My point of clarification is there is no health strategy in 106. That doesn't mean Home won't engage with you on health matters.
Yes.
But there is no strategy, and that may be something which we just need to be mindful of. That's why it's on the list, not important. It's not a strategy the 106 we have to get approval for. What we always said previously was that I think because of the other obligations on health in the 106, we would look at working with potentially with AppCare and other partners if need be.
We have had those early, I mean, some time ago now, we had early discussions with AppCare. We understand perfectly well what it is that they are looking to achieve. And we understand, I think, in our own minds, the ways in which that fits in to the SUE.
There have been significant developments recently over this thing. And by all means, I feel that, pick our brains on this, utilise the information you have, because good information is good strategies and plans going forward. So, yeah, we look to be involved on that side.
Do that. Can you hear us, Susanna?
I can indeed. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So the question was asked, did you hear that? With regard to trying to link a health strategy in, not on the 106 strategy, but linking in what AppCare has been doing for the past 18 months, so into the other obligations of 106 on health, and whether that's something I'm happy to be party to.
Okay. Let me just introduce myself first of all. I'm Susanna Strandell. I'm Senior Planning Manager for Attleborough SUE. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you at the start. I've been hanging on the line since past, but I'm delighted that I've actually been able to get online and see you all. So I'm hoping I can come across loud and clear to you all. You will have seen the presentation from Chris and Mark, which I've already seen once today, so I know what they've said. So I'm here to answer any questions you have of Homes England specifically, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, back to you, Mark.
Okay. As I say, we were just talking about the healthcare, and that was no health strategy as part of the 106. But there was a commitment, and we did previously meet with AppCare and to keep that relationship going, and it was just to confirm your support for that.
Absolutely, yes, I can confirm that. Yeah.
If I could just just kind of expand on that very quickly, and then I'll shut up on the matter, I promise. The healthcare report was commissioned and now finished since last chatting to them, so that's at the end of last year. We're very happy to forward a copy of that report to you. We may assist you in this, but there is also software tools that the UEA have developed in cooperation with AppCare and ourselves that we can utilise to help formulate effective strategies for the demographic particular to Attleborough going forward and the healthcare provision. So there's tools available that will make that job very easy because the work has been done for it already.
Okay, yes, by all means, do send things forward to us and we can take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions for anybody? Yes, Councillor Ross.
I may have missed something, but leaving aside the 20 minutes argument, I do feel concerned about the mothers with babies and they want to go to the corner shop, etc. Transport links and general communication other than a car. Have we put in place modules of where shops, a few shops can come together, a variety, in order that people don't have to travel quite a way into going into the city centre, the town centre?
Yeah, absolutely. So included in the Homes England parcel is a new local centre that will include convenience store as well as the local school. I think there's retirement as well. So, but effectively somewhere for people to go for that convenience. That isn't something that comes forward in competition with everyone out there, but it serves a purpose to effectively manage the community in Attleborough. Obviously other people will use it, but we want to encourage people to come this way and not have, I think we referred to it earlier in the breakfast meeting as a tale of two Attleboroughs. We don't want that. We want one whole town. So across not only the Homes England parcel, but the entirety of the SUE, we will be looking at increased connections for pedestrians and cyclists, and of course other sort of sustainable transport methods into Attleborough. But yes, there will be on-site provision of convenience, I guess.
You mentioned competition.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, for example, a newsagent local store. They go into all the sites. There's no competition at all. Yet there's a need for a variety of different kinds of shops. Is there going to be some kind of oversight to make sure that in fact there is a good distribution?
Yes, sorry. So, Chris said, in the first parcel, in the first phase, there'll be a local centre. That will be a larger collection of smaller shops. As we were saying, we're not intending to compete with Attleborough and draw trade away from the town centre. It's meant to be complementary and for people who are living locally in the SUE, but obviously other people can come. And as I say, the school there as well. That will part of the first phase, which Homes England are delivering. But in the other neighbourhoods, there are neighbourhood centres, which would be a smaller, more general convenience store as well. But they will have a much more local catchment as well. So across the whole of the SUE, there'll be effectively just one large centre and two smaller ones as well. That scale was felt to be appropriate for a number of houses and not to compete with Attleborough Town Centre. That would be the objective, if you like, of the brief. So details of those will come forward as part of each of the individual future reserve matter applications. There'll be a reserve matter on, for example, town centre or neighbourhoods.
So this will include small shopkeepers who come with a specialised goods for sale and things like that. In other words, it's not going to be an over control. Right, here comes this syndicate comes in and that syndicate comes in. The little business would love to be able to set up, but oh no, I'm sorry, it's all been taken by the PLCs.
Yeah, I see your point. I suppose the actual model as to how the town centre, how the local centre comes forward it's probably something that's still being worked through, but the intention is certainly not discourage a local business owner if they wish to relocate or develop in this area. There would be no reason why they would be restricted in any way. It is not as if it's a top-down approach to telling people what's good for them. The part of this is the viability, and if the viability is sufficient for that local business, there's no reason why they wouldn't be encouraged to come. What we don't want, sorry, is if we relocate from Attleborough, then you're just drawing people away, and that's what point is about. That's a critical point about the tail of the Attleborough. We're trying to enhance what you have in Attleborough, not just move it around. But yeah, it's not a conglomerate to putting a mall in that area.
I think just to add to that and clarity, within planning, it might be frustrating, well, it is frustrating to go public, but what you can do within the plan is allocate space in buildings for a particular use, class use, be it convenience store or what have you. You can't dictate who goes into them and control that. That is outside of planning control. All you can do is provide the provision, various sizes, various class uses, to allow that operation to take place. Who does that? Entirely up to.
Thank you. Thank you. One more, Councillor Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, just quickly, you talk about design guides. Recently, a meeting with Breckland about their design guide. They're hoping to get delivered.
Yeah.
Will that impact on future phases, or will the design guide that you put in place here on the overarching structure plan be sufficient?
Yeah, so you're quite right. So what we have done is a design guide for the SUE. So we've obviously been liaising with Rachel at Breckland, who's driving through Breckland's own district-wide design guide. That's a different process. There should be no conflict.
That's what I was worried about.
No, absolutely, yeah. But just to be clear, this is the one for this site. If things were to change in the future, say, then obviously that would have to be changed and updated, but there's no reason why that would occur. It's not as if it gets out of date as such.
Okay, I'm going to try and wind this up now, if that's okay with everyone. A couple of points I personally want to raise. One is at the start of the presentation, you mentioned the work you're doing at the moment on the Buckingham Road.
Yeah.
Anything like that you can inform us about, that you can share the communications point of view. Traffic lights around the town is something which quite rightly a lot of businesses do get quite cross about, but we find if we inform them as to why and what, that's really helpful. The second thing I'd say is my understanding of what you need from us now is discussions on the 106 areas. So do you want us to facilitate something for, some sort of get together on that, and maybe an agenda item?
Yeah,
Perhaps we can ask the car.
well,
Anything else you need?
by you on what format you would like that to take, but in reality, it would be a case of us showing you the strategies,
Yes.
and giving you ample time to comment on them.
Are you ready to do that imminently, or do you need a?
Yeah, absolutely. So the submission is relatively imminent, but I don't want that to scare you.
So perhaps we can look at.
I think it would be wise, Joe, to allow the clerk to liaise with you and determine the best way forward.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for attending. And as this is really an events communications meeting, and it is late, and we've been here a while, so if anybody wants to leave, we're not going to be offended unless you're a member of the events committee. So there wasn't anything. I just actually asked any members of the public who want to say anything. No.
Just a quick one, really. Other than a performance like this, what communication to the general public will there be? Is that going to come through the council, through the newsletter?
Hopefully, yeah, through the personal newsletter. We've got one coming out shortly, but we are doing those 4 times a year. But I think we need to get a regular update going, and at events like the
So we do try and come here and update you when it's appropriate. We don't want to over update you. We know you've all got things to be getting on with. We're very public in sharing our contact details. The email address that's on the website goes directly to me. So we're here if you need us. We have sent newsletters out to the entirety of Attleborough before. Hopefully you've received one. Sort of thousands of addresses. So in that sense, we are here if you need us, and we'll commit, as we have done in the past, to updating you as and when is necessary. With something of this scale, things, as you'd imagine, take time. So I promise you, we'll come when we have things to say.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, anybody wants to leave? Feel free to leave. Anybody wants to Go on then. Okay, public participation, and we do have a member of the public here, do I think I will say something? Who you do? You're from, am I right?
Meet up Monday.
Meet up Monday.
Really, if you go further on, it comes on the coronation up there.
What do you want?
Number 13.
Yeah.
Which way?
Which way do you want to tell, because it is public participation, so you want to talk,
The date of the 8th of May happens to be a Monday, which is the second Monday of the month, so that's when we would have a meet up Monday meeting, as we did this afternoon here in this very room. But the first question is, will that go ahead? But of course, on that 8th, that Monday, is this volunteers day within the coronation. So I'm just wondering what the thoughts or plans are from this committee for that actual day as regards Attleborough, really.
Right, so from a practical point of view, at the moment, what we've done is we've actually got the town hall booked by the town council, if you like, ready for whatever events need to be put on. Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Jenny. We haven't actually finalised anything yet. Obviously, it's an agenda item, but you're right, and it is a volunteer day that day. And how many do you get? You get a lot of people coming, don't you, to your meet up Monday?
25.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
would you like to be able to do it?
Yeah, well, yeah, but is my understanding of the national event is to encourage people to volunteer?
Absolutely.
Have I sort of read that right?
Absolutely. So we are discussing at the moment what we do for that day. Because there are options. However, you've now come forward and said you'd still quite like to do yours.
Yeah, you see, nationally, you talk about Scouts, Guides.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
The big organisations are already signed up for it.
Yes, and do you want to?
Yeah, sorry. So, firstly, as far as I'm aware, I don't think we will be using the hall on the Monday at the moment. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't have your meeting if you wanted to.
Well, would you not want to encourage volunteers, not just for your Mondays, but there's lots of organisations.
We have some other ideas.
We
Oh,
would,
sorry.
we would, but we are working with other groups within the town that are also planning things that want to work in conjunction with us. So what we would like to do as a council is to support and work with groups, not take everything over, and not necessarily have to have it here. So there is another group, there is another big group in the town that are wanting to run a big volunteer day at their new venue, and would like it, we could encourage people to get involved in that. We also have some ideas around some kind of planting and wildlife ideas that we might be working on. So although we haven't finalised it, I don't think it would be a problem for you to use
Not here, but we're just a small part of the jigsaw, as I see it.
Yeah, if you would like to, I'll tell Paul you can have it.
I think that
It's very important, isn't it, for a lot of people?
the brief that we've had so far from the palace about this volunteer Monday is encouraging communities to get involved in volunteer and community projects.
Yeah.
So the choice is, do you do one massive project or do you support lots of smaller projects? So your project, in effect, is a volunteer project. So that would be one that we could, publicise as one of the things that is going on that day, alongside, as Michelle said, we know there's another group that are planning to do something. And as you rightly said, the Scouts, etc., may well want to do something. And us as the town council, we have some ideas of possible planting that we could do. But certainly the actual hall itself, as Michelle said, isn't.
But you look at it then two ways, can't you? If it's just going to be a Monday session here, but the town hall is open, I wouldn't mind betting then that people would be in town and want to come in there.
What, do you meet up Monday?
No, well, just to come in there. Are you with me? That's how things are sort of planned out in this town. I might be wrong.
What you mean people would want to come in here for no particular reason?
Well, they would know that there is something going on, you see.
Well, we're open when you're normally in here, aren't we? When you have your normal
Yeah,
meeting.
but it's not like
It's not that, is it? To be honest, one of the groups we're talking to is looking at, what events they want to put on, and I think until they'll come back to us.
Right.
And then exactly, but the far as, if you want to have your usual meet that Monday
yeah.
in here, at the moment, you can't see a problem.
No, no.
From a bookings point of view, you know,
Right,
but.
yeah. We'll keep you in touch with. We could do either way, I think.
Yeah,
It was just something I talked with Paul about, I haven't seen it online, you see. And I thought, yes, it's for people to push themselves forward as volunteers. Because the more volunteers you get, the more you can do.
absolutely.
I read 25 or 30 people in that, and that's a regular figure, it's quite good.
It is.
It's not good enough,
Very good.
because you get the people who are prepared to come here, make the effort to come here, but there are so many, fortunately, I have to say, there's so many people that it's the same four walls all the time for them. How do you get them to come here?
Well, maybe this could be a good opportunity for us to publicise you and, you know, you get more. Like,
That's same with a lot of organisations.
So we do have, we have discussed doing, I don't know if you saw the leaflet that we did for the Jubilee.
Yeah.
So we're talking about doing a similar one with everything that's going on in and around the town,
Yeah.
for the coronation.
Yeah.
So we could, for example, put you in that, as
Yeah.
this is, you know, if you've not got anything to do on the bank holiday, or if you're on your own, or you just want to meet some people and have a chat, you can turn all that we meet on Mondays.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'd be very happy to support, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
we'll make a note of that then, is that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else in public participation? So let's move on then, newsletter update, what have we got?
There is no newsletter update at the moment. It's gone to our editor, who's putting it all together, that being Phil. And I'm not sure what will come back. So from my conversations with Phil, actually what we submitted to him this time has been more than what will fit in the current layout. So we might have to look at whether we omit some things and put them forward to the next one, or whether we might need to relook at a different design with more pages. But he's working on everything we've submitted to him, and he'll get it back to me soon. So that's it on that, really.
Okay, any more comments on that? Okay, item 8, website update, where are we on?
The website update is really possibly ready to go live, but it might have to have a couple of pages still saying under construction, because I just haven't got unlimited hours to spend on it. It's not that the website isn't done, it's the time of the populating everything on the website that we find it very, very time consuming. We have got someone that works with us already on our internet stuff, helping us a bit here and there when we get stuck, which has been really helpful. But if it's a case of we want to get it up now, just to get it up, we can get it up, but we might have to get it up with a few bits under construction, which would be my suggestion.
Get it up as quick as possible.
So if can I say, just to not overcommit, if I get as much as we have it up by the end of February, a commitment to have it up by the end of February.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Do we need a resolution on that?
No, it's in the clerk's hand. We've already.
Okay, Pancake Day update. Is that next week, isn't it?
Next Tuesday.
So we need to get some signs up, do we?
So yeah, we need to do some posters for that. We've got the medals. I've sent somebody's been and got some very, very cheap frying pans, just in case there's any children that turn up without them. And we'll just spam that. I think it's one of the things where if you do it too early, people forget. So we'll spam that at the back end of this week on social media.
My apologies, I won't be there.
Okay, so,
And that's to start. We said 3:45.
This is the 23rd.
Whatever the Tuesday is.
21st, Tuesday, Shrove Tuesday, 21st.
yeah, everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Right, okay, moving on, community heroes update.
want me to speak on that? Community Heroes update, the magician that we were recommended is unavailable on that day. So we've been having a look at other alternatives for some unusual or interesting, not too expensive entertainment we could put on. One of the things I put in a quote for is one of those people that go around as a waiter and top the wine up and then they'll burst into song and do a display, which I thought might be quite fun. But I've just gone off and looked at that, so I'd be interested in your views on that. As something to sort of fill the evening before or after the awards while people are eating, or any other ideas, but we're obviously running quite short on time. The food, I think myself, Councillor Dale and Councillor Lane are going to sort out, aren't we? So that's
We need to do that.
we do. That is under control. And then the last thing is, I really think that the events committee, and I don't think it needs to be part of a meeting, but I do think a small group should get together really quite soon, possibly tomorrow, and go through the nominations, even if it's done by email, but just to get, get to the bottom of.
Well, I mean,
Who's
there's
on the
only
list?
1, 2, 3. Why don't we just, as the events committee, send it out tomorrow about the nominations?
Yeah.
That's my suggestion. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Then we can feed back to Michelle
With a deadline.
with the deadline.
Well, the deadline's going to have to be tomorrow, or at the latest Wednesday, for the reason that we need to invite these people. So we need to give them a, week's notice.
If it comes out during the day, you won't get my reply till the evening. when
No,
it
that's
comes
okay.
out.
That's fine. I don't mind it if it's in the
I don't.
evening.
So right, so we've tackled that on the nominations. So then the entertainment. What were people's thoughts on the idea of a singing waiter who?
I'm happy for Michelle to cook something. If she feels something's suitable.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we're at that point now. She'll just see what I can find.
Okay, so that's that, and
Can I have a proposal for that? Sorry.
I'll propose it.
Thank you.
All those in favour? Yeah, no, Vera's,
No,
Fine.
Vera's hands up like.
it's
No, it's all right.
sensitive to me.
I've been to a couple of events.
Well, the other option is magician, but I know you weren't keen on that either,
What?
were you?
I'm
Magician.
Oh, I
Oh,
don't like magicians either. I'm a little
Killjoy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Look, hold on,
At least
hold on,
I'm admitted.
yeah, that's, just
Move on.
just want to say on the community heroes. So what Michelle did just touch on inviting all the nominees. Are we happy for anybody that's been invited to be, anyone that's been nominated to be invited, and then for Phil to then choose his overall, so anyone that's been
Well,
invited.
I think everyone that we agree is suitable nominees, because there are a couple that have come in that don't really fit the criteria.
Yeah, so invite them, and then we could perhaps give them something to say that they were nominated or recognised as a community hero by.
So we will shortlist nominations.
Yes.
We will shortlist.
And then invite all of those that we've shortlisted.
And then Phil.
Yeah.
can do-
What number are we looking at?
Less than 10.
Less than.
But then if you say 10 plus a guest, then we'll be invited to bring somebody, so
Are you looking at 10 in the shortlist?
no, it's about 10 on the roll at the moment.
So what do you want us to whittle it down to?
Just make
It's
sure
not
that
about
they're
whittling it down in numbers, it's about making sure people are suitable and meet the criteria that we agreed previously.
Okay, so we're not over, we haven't got number, we've got a. Just
No,
making sure
not
they're
at
suitable.
all, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, Wheel Park opening, confirmed date, and so I've put forward an idea of the end of March, because that's when the clocks change, which means it'll be daylight, so they'll be able to go on the skate park a bit longer, which was, what was the date? Was it
Well, I inquired about the Saturday, which is the 25th. And we just need to go back and confirm if we'd like them to put the riders for that date. And then I think it's just a bit of music and a bit of refreshments, really, and a load of PR.
So first of all, on the date, is everyone happy to go on Saturday the 25th?
Yes.
Secondly, on the entertainment, the music, Does anybody know of anybody that we could approach that would be able to, a DJ that does the type of music that skateboarders and that like?
And you get a DJ, you can sing us skateboarders what music they like.
they
which
like,
is
yeah.
You know, I mean.
Shall we leave that to Michelle to,
Yeah, I'll speak to you about that,
or a
Michelle.
live band? Okay.
I've got a live group.
We've not got enough money for a live group, so as much as it would be great.
Sorry, just a very, very simple question. Do we have a electric there?
Yes. We're gonna run extension from here.
You know, when you say that, stressed, and I said it's gonna have to be a hell of a long one.
Right, so on the wheel park going, anybody else, sorry, Joey, sorry.
On the wheel park. Anybody has an update when they want to, put the curtain on it, or has it been done, or?
No, it's not been done. They're gonna come back at some point. Is there a reason you're concerned about the coating?
Yeah, because, yeah, I am, because, all the will in the world, they're saying, oh, yeah, that won't matter. But it could do if it got damaged, and to me, they could turn around and say, well, he didn't have it done. Right?
No,
I've
I've clarified it in writing, and I've even had an email back that says absolutely not. It's just to make it look nicer. It makes no difference to opening of the skate park at all. So we've had their assurances in writing that the coating is nothing to stop. They said they're just going to come back and do it when the weather is better, basically.
Michelle, I went down the skate park the other day,
Mhm.
and the surface, obviously it's been used, it's starting to look used. When they put the coat on, will that just seal in the useless?
So it sounds like some of it, I don't know what areas are coated, but some of it is black.
I was told by one of the lads that it's actually edging, it's not the actual surface.
Oh, okay.
It's what they've got to do is the edging
Well,
around.
that makes more sense, because when
Yeah.
they said black, I thought, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's finishing off the edges, that's what.
Right.
It's because the concrete is looking used. 'Cause
Yeah.
They're using it,
Yeah.
so to get the marks on it from wheels and stuff.
Yeah, so I don't think it will be that, because if it's
Okay.
black, that wouldn't make sense, that probably clarifies what
Yeah,
I was
they're
thinking.
saying it's aesthetics rather than.
But they have said it's aesthetics, and they've said that it just smartens it up, and that they are adamant it has no impact on us opening it.
and that is open now, the kids go
Yeah.
down there and use it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on that, I had a message from Sam that we met. Sam, yeah. Today to say, was it okay to use it? And I said, yes, as of last Monday, we'd agreed that, it would not be locked. But we're still waiting electronic locks, was the only reply I've opened. I had a young man knock at the door today, ring the bell, and say, they're all on a skateboard park, and it was a young man, not a child. And he said, would you like me to remove them? They've opened the gates and taken the notice down. So I said, no, it's all right, they can use it. Oh, good, I'll go and get the skateboard. So I thought, how good is that? He was coming over to remove because he thought it shouldn't be used.
Yeah, because
And
I
I
think people really value it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, spring fair update, so this is going to be happening on the 1st of April. I will say, just to remind everyone, that when we first discussed this, we were looking at it being more sort of an environmental thing, community, rather than like the sort of thing we did for Jubilee. So from that point of view, I think you've been sort of looking into animals and stuff, haven't you?
Well, yes, but also pairing it up with the First Responders Day, because we said we were going to do another First Responders Day in March. If you remember last time, we were supported by the fire engine, the police car, and obviously Lowland Search and Rescue, and which the children love. We struggled to get anybody from the medical side. Well, we've actually had upstairs rented out the whole of last week to a first aid company, which is brilliant. So we now have a contact for somebody to come from that perspective. And then I thought we'd probably do, I look sort of through my hands at Vera as I say this, but possibly the idea of doing some sort of Easter craft again, like we've done for the others.
Right on, Mira.
Afternoon.
Yeah. And then if I can get some animals, I will get some animals. But I'm quite particular about where they come from and their welfare, so I just need to make sure we're happy with any animals we have on that basis.
Press. They bring them into nurseries
Okay.
and that they are reputable.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
I'll sort it out.
Yes, thank you.
Now, on that, one suggestion that I had was to do an Easter bunny around the town, because this falls on the first Saturday of the Easter holidays. Children get 2 weeks off. So the idea of doing an Easter bunny hunt, now one of the art groups had said that they would help us with any artwork we wanted doing for any events. So we could call on them to come up with some bunnies, 2 foot high bunnies, whatever. But the idea would be that you would put them around the town and the outskirts. So, for example, you could put one at Deepwood Common, you could put one at Gamers, you put a number on them, the children have to go and find them, they get eyes or entered in a draw. So you could either do one big one, or you could do one for the town centre involving the shopkeepers, or one for the wider community. My personal view would be to try and encourage people to go out walking. So you put one at the London Road play area, you put them, and we could then reuse these every year, you know, so it gets some. But we do need to think about, if we're going to do this, we need to think about getting them done. As I said, one option would be to get them painted by the art group. The other option would be to get them, you remember the Union Jack things we had made for the lampposts?
Yeah.
And do you remember? They were really cheap, weren't they?
Yeah,
So to
yeah,
have
very
them-
reasonable.
very reasonable, so we could have some made that we could put around, so what's thoughts everyone on that?
So,
Yes.
sorry, so you're thinking of 2D rather than 3D? I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah, okay.
Like
yeah.
painting or,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, the ones I've seen done are sort of painted and then, I suppose it's quite
What painted that?
onto wood, they're about this high, and they cut out in the shape of a bunny, and then they paint them, and then they put a number on them, so the children have to go. Quite a lot of work involved in those. A similar thing is done at Christmas with elves, we do an elf hunt around the town. But,
And what do? They get the numbers.
yeah, they have before,
They do the numbers.
they have to find, say you've got 20 of them, they have to find all 20. And once they've found all 20, they contested it, didn't they, a couple of years ago? With the flower thing, I think the children had to find the pictures in the windows, and then you handed them in and you got a little prize for handing in your question.
Put the name on each one, so they got
Find all the names, but I wonder, this might be up your street, because you're a bit of a techie.
Rabbits.
No, because you're a bit of a techie, is that in the past, you normally print out a form and they fill it in. If there's something we could do online, where they, you know, we maybe put the sheet up online or something, you know, so because people.
QR code.
Yeah, QR code, or people go around with their phones and they just have to fill them in. Vera looks like, what? Anyway. the principle-
From my point, I think that's a good idea. I think it's going to be, you know, thought through, and the artists have got to be involved. We can actually get artists and communities involved, you know, so it's quite a lot to, if we're going to do it, I'm going to sound really a wet blanket here, but if we're going to do it, it's got to be done properly, and if we've got time to do it within the time we got.
Exactly what I'm thinking.
Let's get to it and come back. What do you think?
Well, I think there's 2 options here. I don't mean to interfere, but a lot of these things end up back in the office, don't they?
Yes,
So just
yes.
making sure it's realistic. I think if you do it, we get them printed like the other ones, because they're cheap and they're Corex, so they're the same stuff as estate agent signs are made out of, so they can be reused. Because I think that's the only realistic option to get them done this quickly without putting anyone under pressure. I think the idea of having some done by the art group could be done for the coronation weekend, which
Yeah.
gives them all time.
Maybe some crowns or something.
So we can almost
Good
test
idea.
it with the Corex printed ones,
Yeah.
and then do a much more elaborate one with the art groups when they've got more time to create whatever they'll be creating. That would be my suggestion.
That sounds like a proposal.
Good idea.
So we-
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't propose it. It's
So
not-
how
I'll
about,
propose it.
right, proposed by Roger, I'll second that. And what we can do between now and our March meeting is via email, come up with some suggestions of locations for them.
Yeah.
And then at our March meeting, we can finalise the locations, so if we all, you know, put
Yeah.
ideas forward of suitable locations. And how many we think, might be worth speaking to the Funfest team about how many they put on their quiz
Yeah.
when because they did one, didn't they, a couple of years ago.
One other thing before we move on from that, that I think needs to ratify, because it's just sat in my inbox. We did discuss last year when we did the Jubilee, that we would have liked, but we left it too late for the spring fair and for the coronation to have some sort of children's entertainer do an hour out on the square for free. I've got somebody provisionally booked, but obviously I'm not going to commit and pay for that until I get that ratified. So I've got somebody that is available for both dates, and he can either do children's entertainment, or he can actually do a Punch and Judy show, or one on one day, one on the other. Do council?
Judy show.
Would you like that at both, or would you like
I
something different?
personally would love
You
to
do
see a
it
Punch and
twice.
Judy at both, yes, yeah.
Okay,
I
so-
don't know about others.
Well, he's penciled in. I just need to go back and say yes if we want him.
Can I propose
Yeah.
that? Please.
I'll second it then.
All those in favour?
Okay, that's
Coronation update.
Sorry, before we move on, Chair, sorry, it's that, there was on the spring fair, we were going to find out about any trussels that we hold
Oh,
and purchase
Sorry.
if necessary.
we found them.
Yes,
We found them.
yeah, and they're up to.
We used what we used on the road on Saturday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they
Good.
were, Reg had got them stored behind the toilets, which was one place we didn't use, so we found.
These are the ones I said we had.
The white ones,
Fine.
yeah,
Well done.
yeah.
So that means we got to buy them.
Somewhere.
coronation update.
The coronation update, I really do think we need a working group for this, because it's too much for me to just do on my
Yes.
own. I've been in conversation with St Mary's, I'm in conversation with Funfest, and I'm in conversation with the Lighthouse, all which want to do stuff together with us. Which is really nice, and we've been working out who would potentially do what so that we don't clash. For those of you, I think everybody knows, but Bretland's contribution is that they are going to provide a big screen for the day. We would be streaming, if we do an event on the square in the day, something like we did for the Jubilee, we would obviously be streaming the coronation. The Funfest team would be really interested in then taking over to do some sort of film show in the evening on that, which I would hope we'd all be supportive of, because you know we can't do it all, can we? And then also the Christ Community Church we're going to do a barbecue at the weekend, and on the Monday St Mary's are thinking about doing something there. And there is also the Christ Community Church and the Lighthouse Centre also want to do something quite big around the Volunteer Day, which is what I was referring to earlier. I had a conversation with a lady at the London Road opening. I don't know if you remember last year when we were looking at potential gifts for children and we chose the bookmarks. One of the other things that I put forward was the packets of wildflower seeds, which I think is a really nice idea because it's sustainable, but obviously that's up to council. The lady is very involved with Rosecroft and is on some of the groups associated with the schools, and they would absolutely love that idea, and they'd love to be involved in some kind of joint planting of wildflower seeds with us. So I really think that's worth exploring as something we could be involved in on the Monday, as well as supporting the Lighthouse Centre. But these are just conversations I'm having, and we really need a group of us to make them a reality.
Okay, so who would like to be on are we agreed that we need a working partner on this? who's got the time to?
I will do it happily, but as you know, I'm not available for the next 2 weeks. But after that, I'm happy
Okay,
to.
thanks, Sue. So Sue, I'm happy to support, although I'm not actually here for the coronation because I'm going to Westminster.
When, sounds awful. When is it?
It's the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, that one week.
I'll be,
May.
Oh,
May.
May.
I'd help, but at the moment I'm finding it difficult to get out during the day.
Yeah, so how about then if we,
I mean, early evening I can.
so we could,
you know, 4
as a work,
o'clock.
or we could as a working party meet before, like, environment, or meet before.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget as a working, but the advantage of a working party over a subcommittee is you can meet anywhere at any time. Or, you know, you can just meet and have a coffee and talk for half an hour. You know, it's a lot more flexible. It just means we've got to bring decisions back.
So Vera's, so I'm happy to.
So Vera, but needs to be sort of after 4.
Well, yeah, it's
I think
easier
that's
for me.
workable, isn't
It's
it?
workable,
Yeah.
it's easier.
Yeah, that's fine.
And yourself, Michelle?
I'm happy. Well, yeah.
Well, then the four, we can feed back to the main committee at our next one, but I think particularly with you, Vera, with your links with the Littleys and knowing, you know, moving things forward on that, and then we can hopefully come back.
Can I raise one more thing?
Go on.
Debbie, sorry. If I come back with some proposals for ideas for, like I've just mentioned, the seeds. There was some conversation previously amongst this committee about what age and when we would like to give these gifts this time, as last time didn't go as well as we'd hoped. I'd really like to know what councillors' aspirations would that be before I go looking at numbers and prices and bringing things back.
My own, well, my personal views, I think we should restrict it to the Littleys.
I was just going to say, the ones that really loved it in the previous